Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're grateful that you can join us for another week. And today we have a special guest, Annie Bryceson. She is a healer, psychic, and medium. For over 24 years, she has studied and practiced energy and alternative healing modalities. She currently has a practice that does one-on-one sessions to help people achieve their goals. Her practice includes helping others which achieve better health, shifting careers, creating abundance, and helping people find loving relationships. Annie's main goal is to help you create a life you love. Her practice also includes teaching classes, specializing in helping her students learn how to use their intuition and feeling more empowered. Annie also loves to help her other empaths understand what it is they are feeling. One of her favorite tools she teaches is Empath's flowchart, giving others a way to understand what it is they're feeling and solutions to clear it. So welcome, Annie. We're so happy that you could join us on the podcast today.
We sure are.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with both of you. Thank you so much.
And so how did you kind of get started as an empath, or how did you find out that you were an empath and leading you down your journey?
Yes. Well, when I was younger, I didn't know when I was small. I was feeling people's energies and I had no idea as a little girl. I would be around people and I'd start to feel sick. That's kind of how it came to me, is my body would still start to be sick when I felt things. And I I I didn't have anybody around me at the time to explain what was going on. So I would get terrible stomach aches and I would think something was wrong with me. But really, what it was, I was so empathic. I was feeling other people's emotions or physical pains. And like, my grandmother had breast cancer. And when I was around her, my chest would hurt. And I didn't understand that I was picking up on that pain. So as I got older, I wanted to understand why I was getting so sick in my body. And that's when, as soon as I was old enough, I was started learning Reiki. And from there, just started studying every single modality that there is out there to try to figure out what is going on.
Yeah.
Why you're that way.
Yeah, because when you're really sensitive to energy, you don't understand the effects of how much you feel other people's stuff and what it can do to you. And so I have a lot of clients. What I told myself is I don't want anybody to ever feel the way I did and get so sick. And there was times I was in the hospital so sick and the doctors could never find what was wrong with me because it was never mine. It was always somebody else's stuff. And it took quite a while to understand that. And then once I realized what was going on, then practicing and harnessing my energy and how to clear other people's energy. It took a lot of practice, but I want to teach that to others that are sensitive to energy as well.
Which I think is great, because I know before we kind of got into how to, give back people's energy or put that boundary up so we're not taking other people's energy, like going into a mall or somewhere that there was a lot of people was like, no, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a mall story. I just thought of this when you said this. I noticed after I had my kids too, my energies got, if I thought they were sensitive before, something about having children made me even more sensitive, on more high alert. And one time when my kids were very, very small, we went into the mall and I was hit with some really yucky energy. And I didn't quite still understand it at the time when they were small. But I got so sick, I went into the bathroom, was physically ill. I had my two children and I blacked out. And I don't know how long I was in there for, but when I woke up, my kids were gone. And I was like, oh my God. So I was finally, woke up. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I got to go find my kids. And for some reason, I truly believe angels were watching over my two little boys, because I found them wandering a store. And honestly, they were so small, someone would have been like, what the heck are these kids doing? And they were just fine. They had stayed close, but they were out of the bathroom and they were just kind of playing around. And I found them quickly. But Oh my gosh, that
What a heartfelt.
scared me. But you get to that point where you're like, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. And I just want to be honest for anybody out there. There was a time I hated this. I thought I was cursed. I wanted to turn it off. I studied, how do you turn this off? How do you make it go away? And and the truth is you can't turn it off, but what you can do is learn a lot of tools and skills to control it. And now that I know those, it's a breeze. I can go to fairs and festivals and the mall and the grocery store, and I'm so much more in my power now that even if I feel energy, it's gone. I just clear it, it's gone. So
Nice.
yeah,
Very
you
nice.
can't get to that point. Yeah, do you both find you feel energy a lot still when you're out and about?
Oh, for sure. I mean, with me, like, sometimes I can't even going into an antique store. I have to really bless myself before I go in because they have a tendency to want to come home with me and things like that. And and so yeah, I really have to bless myself in some places to make sure that I am still my own person. Yeah, totally
I
understand.
agree. That's what I've learned to do too, is I bless before I go anywhere. I bless the place that I'm going to and clean it up. But really, truly, antique stores, me too. I can't go into them. It's
Yep.
just, it's too much energy, too much people's stuff on their, it just is on their furniture. Your energy sticks to your stuff.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so
And
definitely.
and people don't always understand that, right? So you're going around and, it's like when you're doing the secondhand stores and garage sales and things like that, you really have to be careful what you're bringing back in and making sure that you're blessing it when you get it in and releasing that energy, because otherwise, yeah, it just sticks to you. I find
Oh,
that's what I find.
100%. And you know what else I have trouble with is cleaning. Like if I do a deep cleaning, like clean out the basement or clean out a closet, I will feel very nauseous doing it because I have found even my clothes that, I'll realize I'll have clothes from 10 years ago that, we all do that. We shove them in the back of the drawer, but those have different energies of who I used to be. And this energy comes out with it, so I have to be careful when I clean. I do a little bit and take a break and do a little bit more, but I don't know if either of you have experienced that too.
I
Oh,
have no.
I'm not a keeper of things so much, but I do find when you pull old stuff out, like I was going through some old photos and trying to put them into order and things like that. And it's very interesting because yeah, you pull out a photo and sometimes you get this just almost nauseous feeling with it
That's
because
true.
of whatever maybe was happening at the time that the photo was being taken, or maybe that person now sometimes I look at it and I'm like, is that person okay? Like, should I reach out to them? Because I just get such
Yeah, yeah.
a sense with it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. I did one time I was in my kid's doctor's office and there was this beautiful mural up on the wall and I was looking at it because I thought it was so beautiful and I started to choke. And I
Oh,
was like, "Oh my gosh." And I didn't know till I was like coughing and gagging and feeling like I was drowning. And afterwards, one of the office staff told me that that mural was for a woman. One of the doctors had drowned in a river, and it was to represent her. And I had no idea. So yeah, there is a lot. You can look at a picture and feel the energy of that person.
Yeah.
oh, definitely. I know when we went to Lilydale, oh, it was quite the experience too. The pictures were like they were alive and talking to you. And the sensation was amazing, wasn't it, Kim?
Yeah, it really was. It was very interesting because they kind of almost pulled you into them, and just the energy, like you constantly had to be putting your energy back up because it was just such a strong spiritual place. And I don't really think negative per se as much as it's just a very strong spiritual
Totally.
and
Wow, that would be incredible. That'd be incredible. Yes. Yeah.
Try it out sometime. It's Lilydale, New York. And it's quite interesting to go there. It's a whole village.
Oh, I'll have to go sometime. I have never been over to the East Coast over there. I'm on
Okay.
the West Coast, so I've never been able to go over to New York yet.
Oh,
Yeah. It's definitely an experience. I mean, it was certainly on my bucket list. Salem also, I feel, would be at that place. But I think there's any places that you go into like hold such energy. And so I often find if I go into somewhere, especially if it's an older building or something, you can just kind of feel that energy if you haven't put up your guard a little bit beforehand. You're like, oh, right, I forgot.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love to what I love to tell people, because I feel I can already feel some audience members are like, well, what do you do when you have that energy? And or when you're feeling stuff. But the first thing I like to tell people, it's really, really important that you be connected every day, to be connected to well, whatever you want to call it, the universe, source, light, God, spirit, just to be connected and really be in your, I call it your center point, in your power, having the
mhm.
light come in, flow in, and allow yourself to expand out. And I have always found that creates a really good shield for me and for a lot of my students, that this shield, when you push your energy out, it creates this beautiful light that helps transmute, I mean, some of the energy that comes in and bumps up against you.
Yeah. So do you have a practice that you do that? Like, do you meditate? Do you just kind of call that in to take a moment of,
Yes. Yeah, I do. So what I do every morning, no matter what, because when I don't, I know that I run into trouble. What I like to do, I visualize the light. I visualize going up and grabbing the light. And every day it's a different color, but I like to tell people starting out, it can be just a beautiful, sparkly, golden white light that comes in through the top of my head. And I just allow it to sink into every single cell of my body. And some days it comes in real quick, and some days I just let it kind of float on down and go through my whole body. And then once I get it down, all the way down through my feet, I take that energy, that beautiful light, and I also push it down into the middle of earth. And for me, I see a beautiful, like crystalline light energy. I feel like I'm in a cave of crystals. And I feel that beautiful energy. It's usually blue or green for me. And I kind of hold on to it for a minute and then grab a hold of it and bring it back up through the ground, through earth, and into my feet. And I allow it to come up again, all the way, every cell of my body, all the way back up to the top of my head. And I've done it for so long now, I feel a click. There's a little click that happens for me when I know, okay, I'm plugged in, and then I just allow my light to spread out and just start expanding out. And I tell a lot of people, when you try that and start, you want to give yourself like 10 minutes to start practicing bringing that in, feeling it, allowing the light to help your body. But as you get faster and faster and faster, now I'm just like, okay, connect. And sometimes I can connect instantaneously because I've just done it for so long. I know what it should feel like.
that's very
Beautiful.
cool. Yeah, that's very cool. And I
Yeah.
think that'll be helpful for people because, yeah, actually today when I was meditating, because I meditate every morning, and that's my way of kind of plugging myself in and getting centered. But it was interesting today when I was meditating, it was like I visualized this elevator and it was like it was going up and it kept kind of jumping up. And I was like, oh, that's new. Okay, I'm going to go with this. So it's just interesting to me as we go along our journeys how things shift and change, and what we do is different, and we can adopt new things in as we become more aware, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. For me, over time, things have changed. How I used to meditate and do things is different than I do today. Yeah, you're right.
Mm,
You're
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
changes all the time as you mature in life and you learn new things and you bring them all into you. And you just don't even, after a while, you don't even realize that they're always just there with you, you
Hmm.
know, even as you start your day. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I love the connecting to the light, because what I have always found is as you start to really increase your intuition or you're learning a healing modality, um, sometimes what people do is you can accidentally go into someone else's energy. And if you do that, it can kind of throw things off. So I have found like to stay in my light, stay in the truth here so I can read someone and give them the correct information or healing. Because I found when I was teaching classes of people how to be intuitive, they'd accidentally go into someone's energy. And so if someone said, please read me and tell me if I'm going to get this job. Well, if they accidentally went into the person's energy and the person doubted themselves and had really low self esteem, they'd feel, no, you're not going to get the job based on those kind of lower negative feelings inside. But when you stay in the truth, you hear, oh, no, you have a great chance of getting this job. You just have to work on your confidence and you have to, you can give them more direct answers of what you can do for them to be successful. And so
Mhm.
that's why I'm always like try to stay in that truth, that that column of light. I don't know what else to call it, but
I like it. I like
Yeah.
that. That's a good way of putting it, right? Because it is too easy to jump into and feel, especially if you're an empath at all. But even as an intuitive, it's so easy just to jump into what their thoughts and feelings are and
Oh, is
bring
it
them
ever?
onto yourself.
Is it ever? And we know not to do that. As much as possible, we try not to do that. We don't want their energies. It's the same thing as sometimes you're out someplace and you see somebody and you think, oh boy, I get a message for that person. But, through us anyways, we psychically believe that if you approach those people, that's sort of getting in, it's sort of like you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't ask them that, even though you see something. If they came to you for a reading or something like that, yeah, you could disclose, but it's like even though you have that energy around them, you really can't go out and say something. You have to back off. I
yeah.
don't know. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, yeah, totally. I always say I have to have just I have to use discernment,
Yes,
and
there's the
especially
word.
yeah. I have learned that the messages that come through should be very helpful and supportive. And even if that person's going to have, we can feel if someone's going to go through a really challenging time. The
Mhm.
messages come through, okay, here's what you need to do, you know, and it's so uplifting and supportive, but I do have to use discernment and be careful about when I say things and when to say them. Absolutely.
So you created this empath flow chart. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? It's intriguing to me.
Oh, yes. Okay. So here's how this empath flow chart came into being. So like I mentioned, I have two kids, and both of them I have taught how to be intuitive. They know who I am. They've known since they were little that mommy does this work. And my
That's good.
oldest son came home, and I guess it was about 8 o'clock at night. He came to me and I was watching TV and he goes, Mom, I don't feel good. Can you figure out if I'm getting sick? And I turned off the TV. I scanned him and I said, gosh, you have some girl's energy on you. She's very upset. She had a fight with her parents. And I told him all this and he goes, oh my gosh, that's what my friend told me at school today. She was very upset at her mom. And I said, well, let's clear you off. And I cleared you off or cleared him off. And he said to me, well, Mom, how am I ever supposed to know if this is mine or somebody else's? And
Ah,
I was like, you know what? That's a good question. And we went over to the table. I got out a piece of paper and I started writing down what he would do. So the first question I put on there that everybody should always ask is this mine or is this somebody else's? Easy question, and it's just a yes or no. You don't have to get a percentage, just yes or no. Is this mine or somebody else's? And
right.
then from there, I made it so if it's yours, you go down here and then you figure out, okay, was it emotional, physical, spiritual? And then so I gave him this chart of what to do. And he said, wow, thank you, Mom. This is perfect. This is just what I needed. And he grabbed it. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, I wish I would have had something like that. And then I realized my clients need this too, because, okay, it's great. If it's somebody else's, what do you do about it? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
What do you do? And then so I broke it down for you because sometimes even though you know it's somebody else's, we're not sure who is that somebody else. And sometimes it's comforting to know, okay, that was my coworker, or that's my family member, or it came from the random stranger at the store. So I broke down for all of it to be yes or no, simple answers. Is it a family member? Yes or no? Is it and so on and so forth. And then after that, I put at the bottom, okay, so if you know it's your family members, here's how you help them. And here's what you would do to clear yourself and kind of help the situation. So um, it became very successful. A lot of people were really excited to see that and just have a quick little sheet where they could pull out every day. Okay, I've got a terrible headache. Is it mine or somebody else's? And that's what I always start with. If you feel funny in your body, acknowledge where it is and
Mhm.
then ask, is this mine or somebody else's? And I know it's made a difference for my son, and he's navigating energy so much better. And so that's my mission now, is to show everybody a quick way to work with all of this energy around us every day.
Beautiful. Good
Yeah, I
idea.
think that, yeah, that is a great idea because, yeah, I think a lot of us could have used some of that help along the way. I mean, I was lucky because I had mom that I could go to talk to, but a lot of people don't have that, right? Um, just because of generational things and beliefs in that point, and then we all of a sudden get this energy and this intuitiveness, and now
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, what do I do with this? How do I navigate through this? And I think that's
Yeah.
excellent.
Yes, yeah. And I even for I do run across people who maybe aren't even into this stuff as much as we are, but what I find is it's just kind of human nature. We accidentally dump on each other all the time. You have a bad day at work and you come home and you're telling your spouse about how horrible it was, and then your spouse feels yucky and you feel great because you just got it all off your shoulders. You're like, and so I like to make people even aware, even if you don't do all of this stuff, what's a healthy way to communicate so that we're not constantly pushing that stuff around on each other?
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. So what would you suggest to the listeners then are some ways that if you get somebody else's energy that you could get rid of it?
Yes. Okay. So, what I like to do if it's someone else's, I have some clearing statements that I like to say out loud. Um, well, let me start with this. I always like to bring in light for myself and imagine this light like washing me off. It can be a tornado of light, it could just be a bright, warm light. I really visualize light always coming in. And that's the first key. Even if you don't feel it or know it, if you just visualize light coming around, it works. It works. So
Mhm.
I first bring in light and just ask myself to be cleaned off. Sometimes I vacuum myself off, the light like sucks it off of me. And then I add some clearing statements to that. So the first one I use is return to sender. Just return to sender, return to sender, return to sender.
Mhm.
Now, I know that's usually good if you're like with stranger energy, but if you have somebody that's maybe a little closer to you and it's their energy, I like to say oh, I also say if it's mine, let it stay. If it's not mine, let it leave immediately. And I say that over and over and over again until I feel it shift. And what I want to tell the audience is what happens at first, it's going to take a little time. It might take 10 or 15 minutes before you feel that leave your body and you start to feel better. But the more you do that, the quicker it is. Because now I'm at the point where I'm like, done, leave, return, and it's off of
Yeah.
me. So it gets easier the more you practice it, that more that spiritual muscle commands it to go away. Now, if it is if it's pretty seriously heavy energy, and it could be like, say your mom is not okay and it's really, really, really heavy energy. Um, what I do is I like to say, I command any and all beings connected to me in any way to stand in the light or be forever gone.
I like
And
that.
it just helps.
Yes, nice.
It energy can come from so many places, and I feel like that's a really strong one, to command it all to be in the light. otherwise just let it go. And I have found that if someone close to me is struggling, saying that also helps clear them of what's going on, maybe helps them heal a little bit or clears the bad, yucky energy off of them as well. So let me say that one more time for the audience. I I command any and all beings connected to me in any way to stand in the light or be forever gone.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
And then I do have one more that I love to use. I have my clients come back with the best stories with this one. It is if you have someone you're really attached with, like you just kind of have a cord with them and you can't get rid of it. You just, that we all have that person. I know we all have that person that we're like, oh my gosh, they're calling again or whatever.
Here it goes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I visualize the person in front of me and I imagine this cord between us and I'm going to cut the cords, any negative cords. I'm not cutting the good stuff. I'm not cutting soul connection, any just negative energy between the two of us. I'm going to cut it. And I say, I now cut any and all psychic ties between me and blank, whoever the person is. These psychic ties are now lovingly cut, lifted, loved, healed, and released into the light of love and truth. Thank you, and so it is. And I say that a minimum of 3 times. That one's a little bit longer, but I say that 3 times. And my clients have had I've had great success with it, and my clients too. And just to share this story, I was working with a young teenage girl who was kind of being, she had this boy that kept coming into her life and really disrupting her life. And I said, just use this. I said, if he's meant to be in your life, it'll clear up the negativity and he'll come in. And she goes, well, I don't really want him in my life. And I'm like, great, do it, cut the cords. And she said within 3 days, he just stopped calling and coming around and she felt so much better. And as far as she's told me, he's never come back. So I feel like that's just one good story. It just kind of helps clear away maybe people that shouldn't be around you that aren't healthy for you. But, you know, even between our partners, our spouses and stuff, sometimes things can get a little muddled, and just clearing any negativity helps you both, just get back into that good space and come to good resolutions with each other. So I use it for so many people.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, people sometimes don't understand that with the chords, if they are familiar with them at all, is like when you have these energetic chords, like you said, when you're cutting them doesn't mean you're cutting the good ones. It just means you're cutting the negativity, right? So
Yes.
Yeah, the things I don't need anymore, right?
I have another fun story I've got to share just how that works. I have one woman and she is having a little trouble with her husband and they've kind of been off for a while, but she said she did this with him for a day, and that night he sat down and ate dinner with her, and he never did that. He always grabbed his dinner and went and sat in front of the TV every single night for years. And she said she was so shocked she almost dropped her fork on the ground because she was like, it worked.
That's awesome. I love that. And it is so powerful, right? And we see these things day to day, and it's nice for people to bring these into their practice to, because I find sometimes if I forget to do some of those things, then all of a sudden I kind of get feeling, I don't know, in a lower vibration in your heart. It's harder to connect in with the light and those things. So it's a good reminder to do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally is. Yeah.
Do either of you have a way that you like to clear off other people's energy from you?
Mom?
Oh, yes, actually, I do. I sort of adopted that when I was still in the working force. Was with a winery, and there were so many people that came up to me and everything else that I would put my hands in front of me, and as soon as I put my hands in front of me, it didn't matter if it was sort of at my waist or wherever it was comfortable for me. My automatically would go, and I ward you away now. And the energy would push them away. It was so interesting because when I would do that, just put my hands up with the intentions I knew was in my mind, the people would turn and not come into the store. And it was like, yippee, because the last thing I wanted was their energy to be with me or any of the people that were around me as well. So that was just one sure way that worked for me. Interesting though, you brought up something about vacuuming it out of your body sort of thing. I haven't done that for a while. Thank you. It just reminded me that I should probably start doing that occasionally too. So it's so interesting to talk to you because you're bringing up all these different things in there, bringing good memories back up to me to what I should be doing and not enough of. So thank you.
Yeah. And for me, I have a couple of ways that I do it. I also do cut cords, and I haven't
Yeah.
done the vacuuming for a while, but I used to do that quite often actually, or vacuum my house if I felt like there was really negative energy in the house. Another one that I do is I like to do a shower and then just envision all the negativity flowing off of me and basically just releasing it, right? It's I sort of say I release this energy with love and light and let it be gone. And I
Yeah.
just do that until I feel that kind of shift. And then sometimes I just shake it off, to be honest. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, that's a
gone,
good
right?
way.
And, stomp my foot a couple of times to ground myself and bring myself back in. That's how I tend to do it.
Yeah, I
I
like to
love
shake it
that.
off too. I like to shake it off too. It's like, whoa, that's gone.
Get out.
Well, I love that too, because sometimes if you're in the middle of a crowd, you can't just start yelling. I can't yell, you know, I'm cutting all cords with you. I can't say that. So I love you could just shake and no one would
Yeah,
think anything different. They would be like,
no.
oh, okay.
Oh, got some song in her head. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so true. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Because I find sometimes it's exactly it. You're somewhere that you can't, but you need to get rid of that energy. And, I have done tapping in the bathroom at work a couple of times right? The energy is really terrible. And I'm just in the bathroom, just tapping like a mad woman.
Okay, go, go, go.
Yeah.
And of course, do you carry crystals with you too and things like that? Oh yeah. Like that's
Yes.
just in the bra, wherever else, like they're just another way of knowing that you're safe during your day.
Oh, yeah. And I've done that for my kids too. Kids, I love how kids are so open to all of this, and they love to hold the crystals in their pocket in their hands during the school day to know they're okay and safe.
Good for
Yeah.
you. Good for
Yeah.
Yeah.
you.
I just noticed, and I'm just curious both of what you've noticed. I mean, since COVID really shook things up. I feel like so many people going through COVID, what happened is everybody's stuff is starting to come up to be healed.
Mhm.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah.
But really, energy right now is so
Mhm.
crazy and wonky. And even people who maybe weren't into this stuff before were like, wow, I come home so exhausted from work. And, I've just noticed how much more stuff is coming up from people all the time. And I just was curious if either of you have experienced that.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I have. You, Kim?
Yeah, absolutely. Because in my corporate job, I work with the public, and I do find that, like, I find like people are just there's a lot of anger out there. It feels like, especially since COVID, right? It feels like, yeah, there's all these pent up emotions that people don't know how to deal with them. And yeah, they're just frustrated and it's like they're retaliating out into the world because they don't know how to handle their inner stuff.
That's true. You have how much in a day do you walk around and through conversations or meeting people, whatever, and you go, oh my goodness, and walk away from it going, oh my goodness, like that. Whoa, I never would have thought that way before, but so many people are narcissists today. There's just all about them, I find, and that energy is really weird.
Yeah. Yes. And what I noticed too is it's calling a lot more people into that are light workers to step up and help with this
Yeah.
energy.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that's so part of my practice, what I do one-on-one with people is my other thing besides helping them be intuitive and deal with energy is I love to work with people who have illnesses that have gone to every doctor, they don't have a solution yet, and they need help finding what is going on and how to heal it. That's something I really love. And I'm noticing the more and more people's stuff is starting to come up, a lot more health issues are coming up. Our healthcare system is being inundated with people, and they're sometimes bound by what they can say and do. And I love letting people know there's so many different alternative healing methods out there that you can go and look at and try to figure out what's going on. Because like I said, me taking on someone else's energy made me sick, but there's all sorts of different reasons why. um, if people have emotional trauma and pain from their childhood, that's starting to manifest in the bodies right now. I'm noticing more and more.
Mhm.
um, are you seeing that with your healing practices?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many people, like it's so much. Yeah, it's interesting to listen to people and listen to what's coming up. And yes, a lot of things from their childhood or from their past experiences and patterns that they're just keep repeating over and over and over again that they kind of don't know how to break through and is making them sick. So it's interesting to me just how people are, it's like cancer. It just seemed in my family, like in my husband's family, it just kind of blew up. And then I was like, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of resentment. That's really how I was picking up with it. And so then I thought, why is that? And how do I help them deal with that without intruding into their space?
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Wow. How did you deal with that? Has anybody in his family been open for it? Is there it's still, I mean, I know it's sometimes it's still very challenging to. Our society teaches you only a doctor can help you. They don't
Yeah.
teach you can help yourself. You can heal yourself, you know?
Yeah,
That's
some of them
true.
are more open than others. So some I will say, like I could probably get you some oil or, right, I could do some essential oils for you, make you something up if you are open to it. Or, if I find something that mushrooms or something like some of these, not medicinal mushrooms, but like mushrooms like this chaga and the lion's tail mane and those. So I'll suggest them to them. Some are more open than others. Some are, they're kind of shut off, but I mean, that's their choice. So
Yeah.
True. I find that when I'm doing my readings, it's like spirit comes through and tells me these people need to cut cords or these people need to do these other things to vanquish the things that they're going through. And so it'll come through and it'll say, okay, you need to cut some cords. Have you ever tried EFT tapping? But I think the whole idea with our podcast here is to say to people, here are some of the answers you might be looking for. Try them out. So it's worked for these other people and it's followed into their day to make them have a beautiful, beautiful life. So maybe try out some of these and see how it works for you.
Oh, absolutely. I love that you're doing that. That
Thank you.
I think that's so important. I
Yeah,
agree. I don't want anybody to ever feel alone or like there's not an answer or they just have to suffer in silence because the doctor can't find a cure. There's
right.
so many people out there going through that. And really, um, I find in my healing practice that I don't think people realize how much emotions can cause toxins in your body. There's a lot of anger and resentment can just eat away. Anger is like acid in a body. It can
Yep.
just really hurt your organs and tissues and your digestive tract. And I also am finding more of environmental toxins that we don't always check, like parasites and yeast and things like that, that people pick up and are and normal and our doctors. I do want to clarify, I do love the medical practice. I know there's, I know doctors are there for a reason. They've helped a lot of my clients. And if I ever do have someone that I'm like, whoa, you got to get to a doctor now. I did have one woman that I'm like, go to a doctor now. And she had to have surgery pretty quick.
Right.
So I'm thankful for that. But for everybody else out there who can't find an answer, there are other solutions that people can help you. Naturopathic doctors can look at herbal medicines. Any of us here, I know.
Exactly. And I think that's what's nice, like, right? Like you're giving this service and we're giving this service, and it's nice for people to know that there is somewhere they can turn, and if at the very bare minimum, ask questions, right? To be
Exactly.
able to say, how do I start with this? Where do I go? Where do I look? What can you tell me? And, we can offer that advice. So I think that's great that you're offering that and the flow chart, because I think that will help a lot of people on their path as well. So
Oh, for
Thank
sure.
you.
For sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes. I've also, I started, one thing I did in my local area is I started a once a month group healing where everybody can come, and I just do a group healing. And what I found is the energy when, when when a group of people get together, there's this beautiful energy that can come in. And so I do that once a month to help people just kind of clean things up and just get a sample of what the energy feels like, what they can experience. And it's been a really cool, I'm grateful that I'm doing it. We've seen some people shift some major things, and even people will come and they'll say, well, can you also work on my husband, or can you work on my grandmother? And so I'm like, yes, just visualize them here with us and we'll clear them too. And that's been a fun experience for me to help people with other healing and sicknesses going on.
that's nice. And you're in Spokane, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Spokane, Washington. Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Well, just so people can find you. So it's been so awesome talking to you. You have so much knowledge, and just feel a very kindred spirit to you, and
Very light energy.
your light.
Thank you, ladies. I've really had fun talking to both of you today too. I appreciate
Thank you.
being on
Oh.
here. Mhm.
Yeah. So can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes. All right. So if you want to look me up or have questions, you can go to my website. It's anniebryceson.com. And from there, my email, my phone number, everything is on that site. So you can go there and read more about what I do. But thank you. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you
for
very much.
being a part of it. We really, really appreciate it.
We
It
do
was
that.
excellent. So hope you have a wonderful day, and everybody else, we will see you in your ears next week.
You betcha.